That year we got married, Ethan was in tears. He said, "Grace, marrying you is my greatest fortune. You are my only one in this life." But on our 5th wedding anniversary, his lover sent me 2 gigabytes of intimate videos. The video even began with a thoughtful audio clip. Ethan's familiar voice came through. "Every time I see Grace, she makes me a little sick to my stomach. An old woman in her 30s, she's lost all her charm." I presented him with the divorce agreement, but he again pleaded with red eyes for me not to leave. As quitting time approached, my email chimed. It was from an unfamiliar address, with no subject line, and the system indicated a very large attachment. I frowned, instinctively thinking it was spam, but the security system didn't block it, so I decided to download it. While waiting, I clicked on the sender's information. The sender's nickname was Tiffany, and the profile picture showed a cat being stroked by a hand, looking quite content. I was about to close the image when that hand caught my eye. Although the image quality was a bit blurry, the hand in the picture was clearly wearing my wedding ring, the one Ethan and I shared. Ethan had designed it himself. It was unique, and I could never mistake it. And now, why would this ring be in someone else's profile picture? My thoughts were interrupted. The computer finished downloading the attachment, and a notification popped up automatically, indicating a video file. My heart pounded like a drum. My hand hovered over the mouse for a long moment, but I finally clicked play. The screen was black at first, but a familiar voice came through. "Every time I see Grace, I feel a bit nauseated. An old woman in her 30s, she's utterly unappealing." Immediately after, highly impactful images suddenly appeared. The people in the video were passionately entangled, and the male lead was none other than my husband. I resisted the urge to vomit as I dragged the progress bar. The entire 2 gigabytes of video were filled with such scenes. I couldn't bear it anymore. I raised my hand, closed the window, and clutched my chest, trying to calm the revolting sensation. After a period of composure, I reopened my email, noted the sender's address, and took out my USB drive to copy the video. After I finished these tasks, another message came through on my phone. "Honey, are you off work? I'll pick you up. Don't forget what day it is today." Today was our 5th wedding anniversary. I walked out of the office building in a daze and saw Ethan waiting for me, leaning against his car not far away. He timed his approach to my appearance, then presented a large bouquet of fresh flowers as if by magic. To an outsider, it looked like a perfectly romantic scene. But now I knew how much ugliness lay beneath this facade. Ethan saw my lack of reaction and looked a bit awkward, quickly trying to smooth things over. "Grace, you don't look so good. Are you tired today?" I took the bouquet and replied faintly, "I really didn't rest well. You've been traveling a lot recently, and I'm alone at home." A flicker of unnaturalness crossed his expression, but it was quickly masked. "I was busy before because I didn't want to mess up our wedding anniversary. Don't worry, things are mostly handled. From now on, I'll definitely spend more time with you." We soon arrived at the reserved restaurant, where Ethan had arranged a full surprise. Piano, flowers, balloons, a candlelight dinner. I watched him busily attend to everything, like a model husband. He had always been like this, and many people often envied me. They would say, "Grace, you're truly impressive. Not only did you find a devoted younger man 3 years younger than you, but he's also completely devoted to you." I used to be very content with that situation. But now, looking back, it was nothing more than a fragile, illusory bubble of happiness, ready to burst with a touch. Perhaps seeing that I was out of sorts today, Ethan put down his knife and fork and gently said to me, "Honey, I didn't know you were so tired today. Why don't we go home early and rest? I don't have anything tomorrow, so you can take a day off, and I'll take you out for a fun day." Just as I was about to give a non-committal answer, I heard a notification sound from Ethan's phone. He picked up his phone, and his expression changed. "Honey, there's suddenly a problem with the project wrap-up. I need to go." Ethan clutched his phone, pursed his lips, and looked at me with a nervous expression. I looked up at him. "Are you going alone?" "How could I? Frank and the others are there too. Contact me anytime if anything comes up." Ethan was visibly anxious, his gaze constantly drifting outward. I sneered inwardly, shifted my gaze, and nodded indifferently. "Go ahead." Ethan looked relieved and quickly left without a single word of concern. Watching his receding back, I sat alone, lost in thought for a long time. The scenes I had seen that afternoon replayed in my mind. Even though I had only glimpsed them, the images had taken root in my memory, refusing to fade. My mind was a tangled mess, with 1,000 threads of thought, unable to find a clear starting point. In my agitation, my peripheral vision suddenly caught a flash of black, it was Ethan's jacket, which he had forgotten to take. I picked it up and meticulously searched it, finally discovering several variegated cat hairs near the collar. Almost instantly, a similar colored profile picture flashed in my memory. I quickly took out my phone and scrolled through my contacts, my gaze finally settling on a message thread. A similar profile picture, the same cat. So, the object of Ethan's obsession was her after all. 1 year ago, during graduation season, my professor, whom I hadn't contacted in a long time, suddenly sent me a message. Grace, is your husband running a company? You have a junior alumna who's also going into that field. She's very talented and looking for a compa. New York where she can gain practical experience on projects. Do you think it would be possible? My professor had always been very good to me, cultivating me for years, so I naturally couldn't refuse. At first, Ethan really didn't get along with her. This girl is too opinionated. She does everything without consulting me. Once her internship is over, send her back to our professor quickly. I can't afford to keep such a big shot. I couldn't help but find it a little amusing. But her ability is indeed good. I heard that the project she took on brought in significant profits. Seeing his expression waver slightly, I pressed on. Do you know, Professor also said she's a bit like me? When I was her age, I was even more impulsive. You never saw that. Ethan turned and hugged me. No one can compare to you. My wife is the best. At that time, I just wanted to mediate the conflict between the two of them and get through the few months of the internship peacefully. I paid no further attention to where the girl went after graduation. I logged into the company internet system and scrolled through profiles one by one until I saw a familiar face. Tiffany, current executive to the CEO and my junior alumna, was also the female lead in that video and the owner of the calico cat profile picture. The next morning, I went to Ethan's company and headed straight for the surveillance room. Over the years, Ethan's company had developed quite well. Most new employees only knew me as the owner's wife, but the security guards who had been in the building for a long time knew very well that in the early days of the company, I had used my own name to secure a mortgage loan, finalize the long-term lease agreement, and even later purchased this office building. I was the true owner. Therefore, when I stated that my bag had been lost there and I wanted to check the surveillance footage, the security guard didn't hesitate at all. He even considerately closed the door for me. I sat alone in the Sir. Dale Lance room, reviewing all the surveillance videos from the previous night. Ethan hurried in, and Tiffany, who had been waiting at the door for a long time, lunged at him. The two kissed passionately, completely oblivious to the fact that they were at the main entrance. After the kiss, Ethan stepped back but still embraced the young girl's slender waist, his thumb caressing her face, looking extremely fond. Then, the two embraced and walked out of the company main entrance, their figures disappearing from view. It wasn't until this morning that Tiffany bounced to the elevator, and half an hour later, Ethan was recorded again by the surveillance camera. I couldn't help but want to laugh. Ethan, now that there are more people around, you know, to be discreet? Didn't you ever think that it's illogical for Tiffany, who doesn't have a car, to come up from the parking garage elevator? After leaving the surveillance room, I went directly into Ethan's office. It was empty, he was in a morning meeting. Standing by the floor-to-ceiling window, I pondered silently for a long time, Ethan's words from that day echoing in my mind. Every time I see Grace, I feel a bit nauseated. An old woman in her 30s. Am I old? Perhaps. I already had some gray hairs that I couldn't hide, and in the mornings, I could no longer ignore the wrinkles around my eyes. Ethan's mother had been in poor health since last year, and I had been rushing between the hospital and home, often neglecting Ethan. During that time, the most common thing I heard him say was, "Honey, you're working so hard. I'm so lucky to have married you." At that time, I only wanted to hug him tightly and naturally didn't notice the hint of disgust in his eyes. But the fact that I was 5 years older than him, Ethan had known from the very first day we met. He had once knelt on one knee, swearing to me, regardless of poverty, old age, or illness, "I will never leave you." Yet now, merely seeing a tired and haggard me, he as attracted by a fresher, more vibrant face. I raised my hand and covered my reflection on the glass, not wanting to see my tear-streaked face. It was a long while before Ethan returned from his meeting, after I had composed myself. He looked delighted to see me. "Honey, what are you doing here?" I pointed to the things on the table. "Here, I was afraid you wouldn't have time to eat, so I brought you breakfast." Ethan strode over. "Honey, you're so thoughtful. I only had a cup of coffee this morning, and I'm starving." Seeing him wolf down the food, I suddenly recalled many past events. The year we first met, I was 28, and Ethan was still a newcomer to the workplace. A business partner teased me, "Grace, our Ethan is your junior alumnus from the same school. For his sake, how about you give us one more point?" Amidst the laughter, I looked up and seriously took him in for the first time. But it was just a glance. I felt I couldn't handle a man 5 years my junior and didn't entertain any romantic notions. Later, the project proceeded smoothly, but Ethan became a little shadow I couldn't shake off. The budding young man followed me around, a blush still on his face, but his eyes were exceptionally determined. "Grace, can you give me a chance to pursue you?" I couldn't be bothered with him. Anyway, he'd probably give up soon enough, so I let him busy himself around me, pick me up after overtime, and bring me an umbrella on rainy days. Every time I needed something, he was there immediately. Days passed, and I was overwhelmed. I invited him out to have a serious talk. "Ethan, I'm already 28, a full 5 years older than you. I can't play those childish dating games anymore. I won't toy with you, so please don't bother me, okay?" But looked earnest. "Grace, I don't want to pursue you lightly. I like you, I want to marry you, the kind of liking that means knowing and staying together forever." I felt utterly shocked and fled the scene. Late that nig. His friend called me, saying he was drowning his sorrows alone and refused to go home. My reason told me to stay away, but my body involuntarily took me to the bar. He was curled up in a corner, out of place amidst the bustling crowd. The moment he saw me, his eyes suddenly lit up. "Grace, you're here." I sat opposite him, looking directly into his eyes. He murmured softly, "Grace, I've liked you for many years, even when you were with him. I liked you." That night, he poured out his heart to me, all the youthful feelings he had harbored. I couldn't help but be moved by such genuine emotion. "Honey, what are you thinking about?" His call pulled me back to reality. 7 years had passed since then. I once thought our love was rock solid, but who knew 7 years would bring such immense change? It was time for me to move on. And I would take everything that belonged to me with me. I abruptly stood up and bid Ethan farewell. In a seldom noticed corner, the electronic device I had quietly placed there had already begun operating, its red light blinking. At home, my fingertips tightened around my phone. After the waiting beep, a familiar voice answered from the other end of the line. "Grace, how does a busy person like you have time to call me? Is something wrong? Considering the time difference, it's night where you are. I hope I'm not disturbing you. Why are you suddenly being so formal with me, Grace? That's not like you." I sighed and explained helplessly to the person on the phone, "I just want to confirm you're sitting in a safe environment, so you don't fall over from shock after I tell you what happened." "Humph, I've been a criminal defense lawyer for so many years. What could possibly scare me? Just tell me." "Okay, I'm calling because I want you to recommend a divorce lawyer for me. Sarah, Ethan cheated." As I uttered the words cheated, I could no longer maintain my composure and choked back a sob. The woman on the other end of the phone was also momentarily stunned, no longer sounding like the elite lawyer she was. For a moment, she just fumbled to comfort me. After I sobbed out the whole story, Sarah was indignant. "Ethan, that scumbag, that two-faced monster. He talked such a big game, making everyone think he was so wonderful to you, then turned around and hooked up with another woman. Bah." She cursed for a long time until my emotions finally calmed down. After years of feeling shattered in an instant, how could I not be affected? How could I not be sad? But crying in front of others would only invite ridicule, nothing more. So, I maintained a calm demeanor with everyone, leaving no cracks for them to exploit. Only with an old friend like Sarah could I truly vent and be myself for a brief moment. After crying and venting, the problem still needed to be solved. Sarah cleared her throat and switched into work mode. "Grace, I have a very suitable candidate, but I'm not sure if you can accept him. It's just finding a lawyer. What's there to accept or not? Just tell me who it is." "It's Michael." I fell silent upon hearing that name. "It's not just my personal bias, Grace. In the field of divorce law here, he truly is top tier. And the property division between you and Ethan is quite complex, which happens to be Michael's specialty. So many years have passed, it's time to let things go. Just treat him as a regular lawyer." After much thought, I finally agreed. "Then please schedule a time for me." Sarah sighed lightly in response and hung up the phone. Within 3 minutes, a notification popped up, "Go to this address tomorrow morning. Michael will be waiting for you." The next day, as soon as I arrived at the designated place, I saw Michael waiting at the entrance. A long time ago, he had waited for me like this too. He was once my senior alumnus, my first love, the man I cherished. But after graduation, he wanted to study abroad, and I wanted to make my mark in the North. Neither of us could convince the other, and we ultimately ended that campus relationship. And now, he was my divorce lawyer. Circumstances were truly strange. I broke the silence first. Sarah said you've developed very well. It certainly seems so. Congratulations. He stood up and poured me a cup of Earl tea, my favorite. But I never thought that one day, you would be my client. I looked down at the tea leaves slowly unfurling and replied, why impossible? Things change like shifting clouds, and human hearts even more so. Grace, my wish for your happiness has never changed. Mr. Michael, let's end the pleasantries here. Even though 1,000 thoughts churned in my mind, this was not the time to discuss them. Now, let's talk about my paid consultation. After setting aside the reminiscence, Michael quickly switched into star lawyer mode. I had to admit, his work ability was indeed outstanding. In just one evening, he thoroughly investigated the video I sent him, Tiffany's social media posts, and even that anonymous email. He even followed clues to find Tiffany's various social media accounts. Following these, I was able to piece together all the details of this secret affair. The story's beginning was just as I had known it. The girl shared her troubles on social media. Ugh, the boss at my internship company is so difficult. Can't wait for this internship to end. But slowly, everything changed. The boss looks much more pleasant after we sealed the deal. Why didn't I notice before how handsome the boss is? The boss treated me to Western food today. The ambience was wonderful. It was unclear who took the first step, but one day, Tiffany posted an update with the caption with you, accompanied by a picture of two hands intertwined. I checked the date. During that time, Ethan's mother was seriously ill, and I was juggling caring for the patient and going to work every day, overwhelmed and frazzled. After that, Tiffany's social media no longer used the term boss, but replaced T with Mr. S. Adopted a kitten with Mr. S. Mr. S took me on an international trip. From the text, it was clear she idolized Ethan. Her attachment to Ethan extended from work to her personal life. From what cat food the cat ate to major work decisions, she applauded everything Ethan did, and this perfectly satisfied Ethan's increasingly inflated ego. My relationship with Ethan was never like that. I was 5 years his senior, and I completely outmatched him in both professional and life experience. When he initially didn't want to work for others anymore, I ran around for him, found connections, smoothed things over, drank until I had stomach bleeding at business dinners, and helped him secure the largest deal of the year. After the company got on track, Ethan's mother's health declined, so I voluntarily left my demanding job at the company and found a slightly more relaxed position to facilitate taking care of the family. Although I never brought these things up, both privately and publicly, Ethan felt inferior to me. So, he maintained the facade of a loving husband, while secretly finding a pliable-kept woman. Young, pretty, with a temper somewhat like mine, yet she would never pose a threat to him. So the current situation is, if it really comes to a courtroom battle, I can guarantee you'll get back the premarital fixed assets under your name. Since is the at-fault party and you don't have custody issues involving children, the court won't favor him regarding marital assets. Michael calmly analyzed the situation for me, holding the documents. But there are still two issues. First, your company equity is difficult to divide. If insists on holding on to it, it will be very hard for you to reclaim management rights. Second, while there's clear evidence of Ethan's infidelity, it doesn't constitute a broader negative impact. In other words, the compensation the judge will award you will be very limited. I have my own way of dealing with the company. As for the latter, since the impact isn't big enough, I'll just make it a much bigger scandal. Michael looked at me with some surprise. Grace, you're not planning to catch them in the act, are you? While it might be satisfying, it won't count as evidence. Who said anything about using such methods? With over 1,000 people in the company, top to bottom, watching the boss and his assistant having an affair, wouldn't that constitute harming professional conduct standards? Ignoring his puzzled gaze, I took out my phone, tapped a few times, and turned on the speakerphone. Ethan told me he would be at home during this period, so their only meeting place is the company. I've placed a listening device in his office. Now, we just wait for the right time. Ironically, I didn't have to wait long. Nearing noon, the crisp sound of heels approached, followed by a girl's soft voice, Mr. Ethan, please sign this document. The scratching sound of a pen on paper stopped, but the document's owner didn't leave. You've been neglecting me lately. I promised her during this period, be good. No. As the sounds of flirting began to rustle, Michael and I arrived at the company building downstairs. I opened the car door, ready to step out, but his arm blocked me. Do you need me to go with you? No. Just draft the agreement for me. If there are further needs, handle the lawsuit for me, fulfill your duties as a lawyer. I can handle the rest myself. Michael looked at me deeply. Then I'll wait for you. I nodded to him and walked into the company. The receptionist was surprised to see my sudden visit and was about to stand up to greet me when I stopped her with a hand. With my free hand, I unplugged the receptionist's phone line and smiled at her. I just want to see Mr. Ethan. I don't want him to know, okay? The young girl nodded like a woodpecker, nervously swiping me access to the direct elevator to the CEO's office. Ding, the elevator quickly arrived. Pushing open one more door. I would face the most sordid truth of my marriage. I took a deep breath, took out my phone, logged into the company internet system, and then pushed open the door. The next second, everyone in the company saw Ethan and Tiffany, disheveled and embracing, through shared screens. They both didn't react for a moment. It was only after I circled them with my phone that Tiffany seemed to wake from a dream, pushing Ethan away and sitting up. As for Ethan, he seemed to have frozen since I entered the room, his eyes fixed on me. When I looked back at him, he lowered his head, avoiding my gaze. He always seemed to lack confidence when facing me. I raised my hand and ended the screen sharing. The screen recording had been on from the beginning, and my goal of spreading this information had been achieved. All my leverage was in place. It was time to negotiate. Of course, before that, I needed to clear the room. I looked at Tiffany. You've been working here for a while, haven't you? Besides having a secret affair with Ethan, have you had any other project experience? Her face instantly turned pale, and she stammered for a long time, unable to utter a single word. I couldn't help but let out a cynical laugh. Then, Ms. Tiffany, you should be careful. In this industry, at least among the people I know, no one will hire an employee who just coasts by like you. You'd better figure something out for yourself. She dared not respond to me, hurrying away, disappearing somewhere. In the office, only Ethan and I remained. Let's get a divorce. I didn't want to waste any more words and stated my purpose directly. Grace, He looked guilty and flustered, so anxious he was almost on the verge of tears. I didn't mean for this to happen. It was Tiffany, it was her. Ethan, I thought you'd at least apologize to me first. No matter how you two started, no one forced you into her bed. So, this is clearly your fault. His face was blank, like someone who had struggled to the point of exhaustion. I understand. You came to see me today with the absolute determination to end things, right? I smiled slightly. 7 years had, after all, cultivated some unspoken understanding between us, though it was ironically applied to the current situation. The office building is mine. We'll split the things acquired during these 5 years of marriage equally. And the company, I want half of that too. Cash out my share. You're crazy. The company doesn't have that much liquid capital. Then cut investments and projects. You can bear that amount. I told you, if we ever separate, I'll leave cleanly with everything that belongs to me, remember? Ethan, don't try to tie me up with the company. This place is utterly filthy. I feel disgusted just breathing here and will never come back again. Cashing out my share will only affect your immediate expansion. Consider it a small punishment from me. The sooner we settle this, the better for both of us. Ethan's eyes were bloodshot. What if I don't agree? What if I insist on clinging to you until death? I laughed outright. Ethan, do you want to get a grip on reality? Clinging to me, do you even have the ability? The company's current client system was established by me. How many new clients have you added in all these years? If you don't agree, I'll open a new company right here. And how many clients do you think will follow me? These past few years, to take care of mom and to cater to your fragile ego, I voluntarily stepped back. But what have you achieved in these years besides finding a mistress? You simply have no right to challenge me. Ethan slumped back into his chair. Something shiny seemed to flash across his face. I didn't want to look at him anymore and pushed open the door, leaving only one sentence. Tomorrow at 9 a.m., meet me at the coffee shop downstairs from my place to sign the agreement. I walked out the main entrance, holding my head high amidst the scrutinizing gazes, until I was back in Michael's car. As soon as I got in, all my strength seemed to drain away, and I slumped into the passenger seat. 7 years, just like that, had ended. Ethan and I had finally burned our bridges. There was no turning back. I once believed he truly loved me. The moment I decided to marry him, I thought I would grow old with him. The tears that needed to be shed had already been shed in the past few days. Now, only exhaustion and emptiness remained. Michael sat quietly beside me, gazing at me, maintaining his posture as he waited, so devoutly, as if he could wait for eternity. I heard myself sigh deeply. I lost. But I accept the outcome. I don't regret anything from the past. From now on, I am still myself. The man beside me chuckled softly. This is the Grace I know, intelligent, calm, unaffected by anyone or anything, always firm in her own choices. The car smoothly pulled up to the apartment building where I now lived alone. I waved goodbye to Michael. See you tomorrow. The next day, I arrived at the coffee shop early to discuss the final details of the divorce agreement with Michael. In less than an hour, once Ethan signed this agreement, my 7-year relationship and 5-year marriage would all be reset to zero. But I hadn't expected an accident to occur. From the moment Ethan stepped into the shop and saw Michael, he became extremely agitated. He seemed to have finally glimpsed a secret and sneered at me. No wonder you were so determined to divorce me. So, you met him. I frowned slightly. Michael is just my divorce lawyer. Take a look at this agreement, confirm there are no issues, and sign it. But he seemed not to hear, stubbornly pursuing his own line of thought. You're in love with him again, aren't you? Or have you been loving him all along, and I was just a temporary convenience? Now that he's appeared, you have to go with him. My patience was running out. Ethan, wake up. The reason for our divorce is your wrongdoing. Don't go around falsely accusing others. Shut up. Grace, you just want to reconcile with him, and you want me to make it happen for you too? Impossible. The more he spoke, the more agitated he became, exploding like a firecracker and lunging at me, even grabbing my collar. My body instinctively sensed danger. Before I could retreat, a solid punch landed squarely on Ethan's face. It was Michael. The usually gentle man's face was now filled with an unprecedented fierceness. Ethan, you cheat and then try to throw dirt on Grace, even attempting to lay hands on her. What kind of man are you? Oh, come on, Michael, stop pretending. Can you honestly say you don't have other intentions toward my wife? With that, the two men began to brawl. Neither of them would give an inch, both intent on fighting the other to the death. The dull thud of fists hitting flesh rained down like heavy drops. The few staff members in the coffee shop and I tried to break them up but couldn't separate them until the blare of police sirens signaled the end of this absurd brawl. After giving our statements at the police station, I first went through the procedures to bail Michael out. Good thing you don't need to be detained, a reprimand and education will suffice. Otherwise, how would you continue being a big-shot lawyer? He looked quite comical at the moment. His suit was wrinkled from the struggle, and his face was bruised and swollen, with some wounds still faintly oozing blood. I took out a tissue to help wipe it away but accidentally pressed a bit too hard, making him wince. I couldn't help but find it a little amusing. Does it hurt? Regretting it now? He looked up and met my gaze, his eyes bright, just as they were when we first met. Grace, my only regret is that when I knew you were engaged back then, I chose to wish you happiness instead of fighting to win you back. I suppressed my smile, not wanting to engage with that topic now. Instead, I said, give me the agreement. I must get this divorce today. Now, let Ethan and me talk alone. Michael looked at me deeply. Okay, I'll wait for you outside. No matter how long it takes, I'll always wait for you. I agreed, took the agreement, stood up, and pushed open the door to the police interview room. Ethan's condition was no better than Michael's. I looked at this man with whom I had shared a bed for many years, and a wave of sorrow washed over me. Love and hate had faded with the wind, leaving behind only the realization that it was all for nothing. His gaze remained venomous. After catching up with your old flame, you finally deigned to come see me? Ethan, don't waste time. Just sign the agreement. He slammed his hands hard on the table, causing the police officer nearby to become alert. Only after I indicated that it was all right could the conversation continue. Grace, I won't sign. I won't just stand by and watch you return to his embrace. I'll cling to you for the rest of my life, no matter the cost. This show of bravado might have intimidated others, but in front of me, it was quite childish. Ethan, even if you don't sign today, how long can you trap me? If you insist on not signing today, I will take it to court. If the first trial doesn't grant it, I'll wait for the second. If all else fails, once we've been separated for 2 years, this marriage will inevitably end in divorce. Law, morality, wealth, status, which do you think can truly confine me? The root cause that brought us to this shameful state, isn't it right here? Do you know, Tiffany sent me a recording. In it, you said, every time I see Grace, she makes me a little sick to my stomach, an old woman in her 30s. I thought about it for a long time. Why would you say that? Did I suddenly get old? Weren't you perfectly aware that I was 5 years older than you? Later, I finally understood. You weren't disgusted, you were afraid. You were afraid of the 5 years I lived more than you, afraid that I was stronger than you. Afraid that I had the ability to walk away at any time. You depended on me, yet you feared me. Even though I vaguely sensed it and was willing to step back and hide my capabilities for several years, you were still afraid due to your insecurity. What caused this situation today was nothing else but your insecurity. Do you understand now? His furious head suddenly dropped, and the entire police interview room fell silent. After a long time, Ethan finally picked up the agreement in front of him and scribbled his signature without a single pause, as if slowing down even slightly would rob him of the courage to face that document again. As I reached for the agreement, I felt a faint resistance, and Ethan's slightly hoarse voice came through. Will you be with him? You once loved him so much. I tightened my grip, placing the agreement carefully into my bag. Ethan, I once loved you very much too. Do you know, the day I married you was once the happiest moment of my life. You just never believed it. With that, I turned and walked away, ignoring the sounds of crying behind me. Michael was indeed still waiting for me at the door. After I handed him the agreement, he drove me home as usual. The ride was silent. As the car pulled up downstairs, he finally seemed about to speak, but I cut him off before he could. Michael, I know what you're going to say, but I don't need a new relationship right now to prove my appeal. So, let's just leave it. He didn't seem discouraged by my words, still maintaining the demeanor of a true gentleman. From somewhere, he produced an envelope and handed it to me. Grace, do you remember when we first reunited, you murmured to yourself, am I old? After you left that day, I thought about it for a long time and decided to write you a letter. Please read it, it contains all the answers I want to give you. With him saying that, I naturally couldn't refuse. After taking the letter and saying goodbye, I went upstairs alone and collapsed to the sofa. These past few days have been truly exhausting. The fatigue, both physical and mental, was almost crushing me. All I needed was rest. The letter in my hand faintly smelled of tea, the scent of his usual cologne. Rather than letting it sit there and disturb my thoughts, I decided to open it now and find out what was inside. As I unfolded it, his elegant cursive handwriting appeared before my eyes, stirring countless memories. Grace, regarding what we discussed today, I want to tell you this. How can anyone's appearance stay young and beautiful forever? What do these changes truly matter? Time takes away youthful looks, but it gives you so much more. Grace, do you know? Since our reunion, you've become even more captivating to me. Having shed the aloofness and isolation of a young prodigy, you're now more graceful in your approach to things, yet you haven't lost your steadfast resolve. You're like a pearl, polished to its most enchanting luster. These are all gifts of time. I'm truly grateful for it, for allowing me to see you this way. I am absolutely certain that even when our hair turns gray, I will still love you. Over these past 7 years, I considered pursuing new relationships, but the more I got to know other women, the more something felt off. They were wonderful, yet my feelings for them never progressed beyond admiration. I couldn't take it any further. Eventually, I understood. The reason was quite simple, none of them were you. So I simply stopped dwelling on it. As long as you were happy, I didn't mind quietly being a guardian from afar. But seeing how Ethan treated you, I couldn't bear to hide my feelings any longer. I've waited 7 years for you, and I don't mind waiting even longer. Do you remember? We once traveled to Jacaranda together and saw vast, dense expanses of jacaranda trees, flourishing like clouds of mist. You said the flower language of jacaranda is lifelong devotion. Just like the jacaranda, I will wait for you for a lifetime. At the very end of the letter, a few small, purplish-blue petals were carefully affixed. They were specimens I had impulsively made during an outing more than 10 years ago. Now, after all these years, they have returned to me. The last time I heard any news about Ethan was one evening 3 years later. I was sitting in my usual bar. The owner here was a longtime friend of mine. Hey, did you hear? After you two divorced, Ethan was constantly miserable, just drowning his sorrows every day and barely managing the company. His mistress tried to cause trouble a few times but got the cold shoulder, so she actually took a desperate chance and stole project secrets to sell to competitors. Didn't you hear? He was just sentenced 2 days ago. He'll probably be serving time for the rest of his life. Ethan's an interesting character. He hasn't reacted at all to such a massive scandal. But I hear a lot of his employees have jumped ship. I reckon the company probably won't last much longer. I listened quietly, not asking a single question, as if he were talking about a complete stranger who had nothing to do with me. After I finished my tequila, someone arrived right on time. Oh, Michael, picking up Grace again? Good things are happening soon, aren't they? The man beside me smiled and nodded. Second half of the year. With that, he took my hand. Let's go, Grace. I squeezed his hand back. Okay. I will keep moving forward. If I find myself on a diverging path from those beside me, I'll continue alone. If I find companions heading in the same direction, I'll move forward with them. But no matter what, I will not stop. No one will make me stop. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your perspectives, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.